Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. We have been slowly getting drip-fed information about the upcoming 3.13 release, and there was a teaser trailer that was put out. This is only 22 seconds, and that's a bit misleading. It's actually shorter than that, because the last 10 seconds of it is just simply a single slide giving information about about when you'll get more information. However, there's quite a bit of information hidden in this one. So what I was wanting to do is set the playback speed to a slower than usual speed and go through this and show off some of the things that are hidden in it. So firstly, 3.13.0 is going to be hitting on the 15th of January if you're American time zone, or if like me you're in Australia, the 16th of January. It's been delayed a bit, and there's two things that are going to happen in it. This is going to be a lot like 3.9. 3.9 brought about both the Metamorph League, so all of the Metamorph content was introduced then, but it also brought about the Conquerors of the Atlas, which was a substantial overhaul of the Path of Exile endgame. Now, I think we're going to see exactly the same thing in 3.13. So there's going to be a limited scope league that's happening, and in addition to that, there's going to be a major overhaul of endgame mechanics. Now, this first shot, I think, has a lot hidden in it. So what you're going to see here is an Exile slowly walking towards the center of the, towards this central device. It is a much larger than usual map device, set against a Celestial Nebula hideout background, and hidden along here, you'll see a number of things that look like images of various bosses. So Atlas-specific map bosses. This here looks like the Rooster that's one of the two bosses of the Canyon map. This here, caged over here, looks like the Goddess of Justice, which from memory is the boss of the Plaza map, but is also the boss that piggybacks on Azaro's back in all versions of the Labyrinth. This here looks to be Bartok, Conjurer of Bones from the Necropolis map, and this looks to be the Guardian of the Hydra, although I'm much less sure of that than I am on some of the others. I think we've got a rower here, but I'm really not sure. And as for the rest, your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, so that's some of the things that are hidden there, and I'm guessing that killing these bosses is going to be some way of leveling up your Atlas. So killing, say for instance, the Goddess of Justice may unlock some options for your Atlas, and you'll see what those options are when we get to the appropriate spot. However, firstly, let's just play this at half speed and showcase something else that's going to come up. So this Exile is just going to walk slowly towards the central device in a sec, and then there's going to be a cool looking explosion. And now we're in what I suspect might be the new League content. You'll notice there's a rune on the ground, a quite large rune. And I also think that this is a small room. I think that this is going to be a League where you're going to be fighting packs of monsters in tight contained rooms that are going to be off from the sides of a map. In a lot of ways that's going to be like Incursion, but in Incursion you have objectives that involve traveling, whereas here you're not really going to have that, I don't think. I think it's just going to be a straightforward, you're teleported into the middle of a room full of monsters trying to kill you, and you've got to deal with them. This is just going to be an Exile using Cyclone to clear this room. Nothing much particularly else is going to happen here. Like I said, I speculated this is linked to the League mechanics, but this is the big one. This screenshot is what is going to show everything that's substantial that's happening in the 3.13 expansion. At least I believe it will. So, what we have here appears to me to be some sort of ascendancy tree for your Atlas of Worlds. And you'll watch and see as the Exile involved is going to start spending points, presumably augmenting their Atlas in various ways. So if we have a look, you'll see here the clearest hints to this come from the Abyss icon here. So directly south of the centerpiece of the Atlas, you've got this, I'm calling this the center of the Atlas. You've got this icon, which is identical to the reward signifier for Abyss rewards in newer content, such as Heist and Legion and the like. Then you have the same over here. So these two seem to be Abyss related. This then appears to be perhaps a graphical description of one of the phylactery fights. So you have essentially three different ways that an abyss fight, assuming you win the fight, three different ways it can end. It can end in an abyssal troves, it can end in an abyssal depths that does not have a lich and instead has a phylactery. I think they're named Stygian Spires. Or it can end in a fight against a lich and you need to kill it. You need to destroy its three phylacteries in order to be able to defeat the lich. Because the lich goes invulnerable at 75, 50, and 25%. You then duck into side rooms, kill a bunch of monsters, kill a Stygian Spire in there, and then go back and start fighting the lich again. So I'm guessing, and I could be wrong here, this is pure speculation, that this is somehow related to the phylactery fights, and that this is something new. And so I'm speculating that this signifies that there's going to be some sort of overhaul / upgrade to Abyss content as part of the 3.13 expansion. I feel that would be kind of necessary to justify it having 4 points, given that Abyss rewards have been sort of something that is so common in Path of Exile normally that players don't generally bother to go out of their way for them. Obviously, you need them especially in a solo self-found environment. You're not going to turn down free Abyss jewels early on in a league. But ultimately, you do hit a point where you already own a couple of item level 86 Stygian Vice belts, and you've got a fair few different Abyss jewels all at item level 84 and higher. And so you don't feel like there's anything further to go for in Abyss content. However, then if there's new stuff added in there, maybe there will be. It's also entirely possible that some of these could do things like increase the chance of getting an Abyss on the map, these small nodes, increase the number of monsters that come out of an Abyss, increase the power of the monsters that come out of an Abyss, increase the speed of the monsters that come out of the Abyss, or something like that. Maybe increase their XP, increase their loot drops, all sorts of things that could happen. Again, that's all speculation, but the key thing is that it seems like it's a way in which you can make some choices between either investing in abysses or investing in other things on this tree. I'm absolutely confident this is Legion. It's purple. It looks like a crystal monolith of sorts. This looks like a crystal monolith of sorts. So I'm going to guess that this increases your chance of getting a Legion and that this increases your chance of getting a General or something like this. The next one, there's been a bit of contention on various other Path of Exile fan areas like the subreddit, Path of Exile subreddit and places like that. One person thought that it was Heist, but I'm pretty confident that this is Cassia and Blight. So the reason I think that this yellowy thing here, it might not be clear if you're watching it on my restream of this video, but the original of the video, if you look at the original, which I'll put a link to below, this is definitely a yellow bulb being held up by what looks like some sort of tree trunk. And that could definitely be the bulb that Cassia uses to purify the blights. And this looks like Cassia in front of a close-up of that bulb. This is without question Einhar. So this is something bestiary related. Who knows what that's going to be in practice. And this here appears to me to be harvest related. So this is a flower that's emanating power. If you're familiar with the game Magic the Gathering, this artwork is clearly inspired by the artwork of the iconic card Black Lotus. And then this is a less inspired, but it's a flower or a seed or a bulb or something that's radiating power. Again, I think that this is going to be something harvest related. Harvest is going to be in a tricky spot. We know it's getting re-implemented in some form. Harvest is an inherently very dangerous mechanic because if it's made too powerful, it effectively removes the core crafting orbs from the game. They'll still drop, but they no longer have any role in endgame crafting because all items will be produced through harvest crafting instead. Possibly with a first step here or there that involves the core crafting orbs. So hopefully they get the balance on that right, and hopefully we end up in a situation where harvest, fossils, and the core crafting orbs are all compelling to use, and all of them are the best at something. Ultimately, I think the best outcome would be for harvest to not be able to be used on influenced items at all. That would make it the absolute unquestioned best way to craft jewels and cluster jewels, and sort of serviceable to get yourself a basic starter set of gear, But once you hit a certain point in your progression, you'd say, you know what, Harvest, I'm only using that on jewels. Everything else, not going to bother with it. I'm going to use other crafting methods, and that would provide uses for Harvest for a wide variety of players. The other thing that's interesting is that there's a lot of empty space here. I'm pretty confident that this is not the complete tree, and that there will be more ways that you can expand out here. So you could definitely fit another line to here somewhere. You could probably fit two more points radiating out of the center, although we're just going to have to see what that is in practice. Now, next up is the information that the video that I think provides the most evidence for my speculation that the 3.13 League is going to be based upon small single-room arena fights. And I'll just get to that now. Playing at 50% speed. Okay, so what you're going to see here, and this needs to be slowed down further, we're going to drop it to 25% speed for playback, because it's quite hard to follow otherwise. You'll see a powerful archer character that's standing their ground and firing 12 projectiles at a time. Those projectiles are chaining. This player's skill set skills or items include some source of automatic chaining. And additionally, we have a number of monsters around. These monsters are being cursed with vulnerability on hit by the player in some way, and you will see vulnerability spread, especially if you watch this at 25% speed, and particularly if you start the slowdown earlier than I did. Additionally, you have this monster here that's affected by a shrine. I think this is either a massive shrine or a brutal shrine. Not that familiar with the shrine icons to be certain. And it's, at least I believe it's an exact copy of one of the shrines. And I suspect that this is the boss monster with a whole bunch of trash monsters around it. However, those trash monsters are resilient. You'll notice when you watch this video that they don't die instantly or anything like it. And so I think what they're going for here is a single room fight against powerful enemies. This player managed to clear it really quickly and easily. There was no need to do things like a panicked blink arrow to get out of the way of danger or anything like that. But the idea that it's a cramped space comes from the fact that you see 3 walls, and you also see this rune on the ground that takes up most of the space there. So I'm going to speculate that the 3.13 League involves some sort of portal that transports you into a room like this, where there's a short, self-contained and brutal fight that's much harder than the rest of the map, and then afterwards you will receive some sort of reward for that. But this is based on speculation. This is my interpretation of the teaser trailer only, and I could very well be wrong. And that's really all that there is in this video. As we return to the final slide, even though there's another 10 seconds here, nothing more is going to come up. This is just the expansion announcement times, so you can see here that they are revealing the league start is 11 AM on January 15, and you can watch the live announcement on January 7. Now these are Pacific Standard Time, so that's American time zones. If like me you're in Australia, I believe these are 6 AM the next day. It might be 7 AM the next day. I'll have to check that closer to the actual time. So, one other thing that needs to be said is that normally the teaser trailer drops 17 days before league start. That's not really an option here. 17 days before league start is solidly in the middle of the time of year when the most people have holidays in New Zealand. So league start minus 17 days would be the 30th of December. And for us in the Southern Hemisphere, it's pretty common for businesses to shut down a couple of days before Christmas, or at least to operate on only a skeleton staff until the first Monday of the new year. And often actually till further than the first Monday. Often there'll be a full shutdown until, say, the third Monday of the new year or something like that. So what we're going to see as a result of that is a massively condensed spoiler season. Now, normally, the trailer reveal, the major trailer reveal, takes place at league start minus 17 days, and that is the first time that any of the new league mechanics are revealed in the absence of any significant leaks. And GGD don't usually have many leaks. I don't think that they're going to follow that pattern this time. I think that they're going to want to have more time to build hype. And so for that reason, I think we'll see some of the minor announcements. This is things like new unique items, new divination cards, things along those sorts of lines. Those may well get spoiled well beforehand. Additionally, before January 7, we may see things like a balanced manifesto on incorporating heist into the core game, a balanced manifesto on incorporating harvest into the core game, and maybe something about the concerns that a number of people have about content bloat, where it feels like your attention is being pulled in 16 different ways all the time. And once you get to endgame, you've got one overarching goal to get 32 watchstones. You've got a second overarching goal to get four different Legion emblems, so that you can run a Legion 4-way and get your five-way map device. You got a third overarching goal, which is to start progressing your delve mines. You got a fourth overarching goal, which is to start leveling heist rogues. You got a fifth one, which is to start unlocking the Eternal Labyrinth. You got a sixth one, which is to start interacting with a betrayal mechanic. A seventh one, which is related to the sixth, which is to start earning some of the more difficult to unlock crafts, like the veiled crafts, like some of the ones that are locked in the Temple of Atzoatl. And so you've got all of these different things that are going on at the same time as you're trying to do the really obvious things of level your character up to a level you're happy with, to source powerful items for them. All these things pulling your attention in different directions. There's a possibility that there'll be some sort of developer response to that concept of content bloat. I personally have given it a fair bit of thought, and I think that one of the changes that they should make is making it so that completing any higher tier labyrinth also completes all the lower tier ones. So currently you can't enter the Cruel Labyrinth until you've done the normal labyrinth. I think that players should be able to do the Cruel Labyrinth and through doing so also receive the benefits of doing the normal labyrinth. And then it's going to be up to players. Do I want to run through acts 5, 6, 7, and maybe 8 unascended in order to skip out on the normal labyrinth? Or would I rather just do the normal labyrinth on time, then skip the Cruel Labyrinth perhaps and do the Merciless Labyrinth? Or do I want to just spend the minimum possible time in the labyrinth and ignore the labyrinth, stay unascended until I'm ready to take on the Eternal Labyrinth? And that'd be an option too. But obviously people are going to have different ideas as to how to address this sort of content bloat, and also as different ideas as to whether it's important to address it or not. I think that for people in a trade league, it's not really important. If there's a specific reward that you want that is gated behind having a developed betrayal syndicate, you can simply not develop your betrayal syndicate and trade for someone else's Cinder Swallow urn. That's one of the ways that you can handle that. So ultimately, I think that's going to be that's one of those issues that I think people will have divergent opinions on. I'm keen to hear your thoughts. But anyways, that's 3.13, the second major teaser that's come out. It's amazing how much information can be packed into 11.5 seconds of video and then 9.5 seconds of a slideshow. But if you've got any comments or questions, definitely fire away below. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there, and I hope you have a good one.